And so now that we have allowed your hair to dry for about 20 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and get started with your trim. So I'm just going to move your hair kind of back and above my chair. Perfect. Is that comfortable for you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'll have you lift up just one more time. Okay, go ahead and relax. Perfect. So as we discussed, I'm just going to be doing a dusting for you today. So just a little bit of a trim to ensure that you're retaining your hair length, and just kind of having a look at the natural state of your hair now that it's been washed. Getting a feel for the way that your hair kind of looks as it air dries, which is seemingly pretty straight. There's a tiny bit of a wave on the lower layer, but for the most part your hair is fairly straight. And it does look like the toner set in, so you are a little less warm, which I know is what you wanted. But we're not touching up your color because we just did that a couple weeks ago. So you're still good to go as far as your highlights. So just having a look. And you didn't want any like face framing pieces or anything like that today. We're just doing a basic trim.
Yes.
Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to your trim. So now that I've washed your hair, I can kind of get a feel for its natural state. And I've let it dry to about 90%, just so we don't have to go through and blow dry, because I know you said the tension from the blow dryer tends to give you a headache. So I'm just gonna go ahead and brush through with my wet brush, just making sure that there are no tangled areas before we get started with your trim. And then I did just want to confirm with you, we talked about just doing the dusting today. Is that correct? You just want your ends trimmed just a little bit?
Yes.
Okay. So I know you said you were going out of town and you wanted to just make sure you got your trim in before then. So that's great. And I did go ahead and apply that toner like you requested. So some of that warmth is gone, but you still have the vibrance of your highlights, so that's great. Just making sure to brush through the bottom portion. And of course, looking at the integrity of the hair, making sure that there's no signs of breakage. I know you don't use that much heat on your hair since your hair is naturally straight, so that's always a good thing. Of course, when you do use heat, make sure you're using a heat protectant. So what I'm going to do is go in and start by sectioning your hair, and just going to apply some product as I do that. So going to section off right below the ear. And it doesn't have to be perfect, just getting a smaller section of hair to work with. I'm just going to put this top section of your hair up for now. because this is a larger section, I'm going to use a hair tie. And then for the smaller sections, I'll be using my clips. Does that feel okay?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Alright, so now that we've got a smaller section of hair to work with, just kind of having a look at the overall state of the hair. And I'm going to go ahead and apply some product. So let's go in with the It's a 10 Miracle Leave-In. So this is what I typically use on your hair during your visits. And this is just going to ensure that your hair is well nourished and moisturized. If you do decide to go home and style it, you don't have to worry about applying a heat protector because it'll already be in your hair. So I'm just going to comb that through, doing some very gentle finger combing. Just making sure that the product is integrated into the hair shaft. And then I'm going to go ahead and just comb that through with my rat tail comb. So whenever you apply a heat protectant, it's important to make sure to comb it through so that you ensure all of your hair is coated. So what tends to happen is when you just apply with your fingers and then kind of let it sit and don't comb it through your hair, you're not really ensuring that the hair shaft is protected in its entirety. So by combing it through, you distribute the product more evenly, and that gives you more even protection. So just combing that through. Perfect. Okay. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with your base layer here. And what I'm going to do is start with half. And I will clip away this other half. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to go in with my shears, and these are the same shears that I always use for you. And we're going to begin with just a very soft dusting, so we're not doing anything too dramatic. I wouldn't even really consider this a trim. This is just kind of a maintenance cut, so we're just making sure that any of those split ends are taken care of and that you're not losing any of your length here. So just getting this up in my comb. Your ends actually don't look too bad, so because you come to me about every 6 weeks, we are able to keep up with any breakage that you might have, so it actually still looks pretty good. What I'm going to do is go ahead and clip off this side and then do the other side, and then of course we'll make sure they match. doing some finishing touches on this bottom layer. Just checking for symmetry, making sure that the two sides are even. Alright, so let's go ahead and section off our next layer. And this time I'm going right above the ear. So for the first layer, we went below the ear. For the second layer, I'm just going right above. And sectioning it off this way just ensures that we're taking the minimal amount of hair for each layer. So just making sure that your cut is even. We don't want to take sections that are too large. That can end up making the haircut uneven. So taking about 2-inch sections at a time. And of course, brushing the hair at the top in between just so we don't get it all tangled. Perfect. And I'm just going to put this hair back up into a bun. So again, going in with our leave-in. This time taking a little bit more product just because as we move up to the crown, each layer will have more hair in it because we are moving towards the widest part of your head. So just taking enough product to ensure that we are coating your strands effectively. I cannot stress the importance of heat protectant enough. It's really not something that you want to neglect, especially because your hair is bleach treated, so it can be more susceptible to heat damage. So just getting that product in. And once again, I'm going to go in with my comb and just make sure that the product is thoroughly incorporated. Going to start with this side, and again just gonna go kind of section off this half. Some people do cut the first kind of section of hair around their face just to build face framing layers, but yours are natural, so I do want to make sure to go ahead and trim those as well. They tend to be thinner pieces of hair, so we want to make sure that we are giving those a trim and ensuring that they retain their length. So let's continue our first section of our second layer here. And just dusting a little. So now I'm just bringing the hair from the first layer that we cut along with the second layer so that I can make sure they match. Perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and section off this side. And we can move on to the other side. So I like to start off with about half of the section. So I don't want to go in with a piece that's too big. So I'm going to about this much. And just okay, so I'm going to go ahead and compare the two sides and make sure that you are even. You're doing so well. move on to our next section. Now, because we've reached the mid portion of your hair, I'm going to start doing one side at a time. So, kind of sectioning at a diagonal. So we're making like a triangulated piece here. And I'll cut this side and then we'll do the same thing on the other side. And then again, we'll compare the two. And then as I move to the crown and the bang area, we will cut it a little bit differently. So this just ensures you have an even cut. Your hair back into the bun. I do have some wispier pieces here that I don't want to cut just yet, so I'm just going to use a clip to kind of hold those back a little bit. I'm just going to put it away for now. Perfect. Okay. Let's go ahead and apply our leave-in to this area. And then because your hair is drying rather quickly, I am just going to apply a little mist of water. And then just brushing the water as well as the product back through your hair. And we can go ahead and begin with the dress. I'm just going to take this section as a whole and kind of comb it upwards, and then as the pieces fall, we will cut them separately. So rest of the cut. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. And I'm using your brows kind of guide and just following that triangular shape. Going with a bit of water. Really just enough to dampen the hair. We don't want it soaking wet, but a little bit of water does help incorporate the product as well as ensure your cut is even. So we don't want to cut some of it while it's wet and then some of it while it's dry. And brush this section up. And put a little bit less hair on this side of your head. Almost done with this section here. So what I'm going to do, since those are face framing pieces, is I'm just going to brush them out. I'm going to turn you towards me for just a second, just so I can have a look and make sure that we're even. Just bringing these pieces forward. Perfect. Okay, very good. So go ahead and turn you back around. We're all done with the bottom portion of your hair. I am going to move on to the top of your crown. And for this section, so we kind of have a triangular area here. And what I'm going to do is just use your nose as a guide. I'm going to go ahead and apply some water. Brush this section out just because we've been pulling it up into a bun over and over again. It is a little bit knotted. Alright, going back in with our comb. I'm going to do about and move on to our last section. So once again, just applying a little bit of that water. I'm going to go ahead and brush this through. And again, taking about half of this section. I like to split above the ear. So what I'm going to do now is turn you towards me one more time, and I'm just going to have a look at your very front pieces here, and I want to make sure that they are even. Of course, this is the most important part. So I'm just going to brush the very, very center bang forward. So about 3-inch section here, I'm creating a little U part. It kind of looks like an upside down U, and just bringing all of this hair forward. go ahead and turn you back around, and we are all done with your trim. So what I'm going to do is just apply a little bit of serum to your hair. So because your hair does dry naturally straight, and I know you said that's how you prefer to wear it most of the time, so I don't really have to do any styling today. Your hair is already styled. I wish my hair dried straight. Definitely doesn't. My hair is pretty curly, so what I'm doing now is just adding a little bit of moisture back into your hair. So just a very, very small amount of mist, and going to go in with different products. So this is just a serum, and this is from Schwarzkopf, and I'm just going to apply a very small amount. This is pretty potent, and it's kind of a serum texture. As you can see, it's pretty shiny. So this is just going to provide a little bit of sheen to your hair. It also really helps with frizz. So I know we live in an area that gets pretty humid, and we are coming up on summertime, so the humidity in the air is running wild, and this is just going to help ensure that your hair has that kind of a lustrous look. So it's already looking so much shinier. In my opinion, shine looks healthy. So I know some people don't like their hair to look greasy. They're kind of afraid to apply any oils because they think it's going to make their hair look dirty. But as long as you're not applying it at the root, so definitely ears down is kind of the rule of thumb. Just going to help apply a really pretty sheen to the hair. So at the ends, I like to kind of grip and gently squeeze. So just incorporate that into your freshly cut ends. Of course, we will go ahead and brush that through with our wet brush. Is there a certain way you want me to part your hair today? Do you want it parted down the middle or parted on a side?
Yeah.
So I'll just go in and perfect that part for you. Just using my comb. I'm going to go ahead and brush through one more time with the wet brush, and then before you go, I'm going to go in once with my boar bristle brush. And the boar bristle brush will just kind of help ensure that that shine is long lasting. The boar hairs have a smoothing effect, so basically just a rounded brush. I'm just going to go in and help tame some of these flyaways. You have such beautiful hair. I'll give you a little bit of natural styling here. And I'm just going to going with my lip roller, remove any of that hair gone on you. Alright, Isabel, well the good news is we are all done with your cut, so let me go ahead and give you a mirror so you can have a look. And first you have to have your selfie light in case you want to take a picture. Okay. Beautiful, this looks nice and healthy. Do you like it? Okay, good. Alright, well the last thing I'm going to do before you go is go ahead and give you your freebies. So let me grab your bag. Okay, so today I'm going to send you home with a miniature version of the leave-in conditioner that we use. So you'll be going home with that. I also want to send you with the mask that we put in your hair when we washed. So I'll send you home with a sample pack of that because I know you said you really liked it. And then I'm also going to send you home with the rest of the Smooth and Shine, okay? So you can take all of this home with you. I recommend using them on a regular basis. It's going to help keep that nice, luscious look of your hair. And have a good day. Here's your goodie bag. Thank you for coming in.